On Friday when I showed you the corresponding angles, alternate interior. Parallel lines, I think and I hope everyone knows what those are. Never intersect. Skew lines you might not know. Skew lines never intersect. But are not parallel. Now, parallel, we write that word so much, you can just put two parallel lines to represent parallel. So can anyone think of an example of skew lines?
There's a starting point?
No.
They are like wavy.
No. Lines don't have curves in them.
Oh.
So it's like a T, but it doesn't have like the top like connected.
I think you're kind of right.
Good attempt.
So it's like a line that goes like this.
It's a
and
Y.
then a line that goes like this. That doesn't connect.
But they don't connect, exactly. That's just it. They're on different planes. Like this line here and the line on the ceiling. One runs this way, the other one runs this way. They're not parallel, but they don't intersect. Does that make sense, everyone?
Oh, so it's basically going to 3D.
Okay, remember what a transversal is? Transversal cuts through the two lines, yep. Cuts through, actually it doesn't have to be just two lines, it could be 3 or 4. So remember, most of the time what we'll be dealing with is a picture like that. The transversal cuts through there.
What's consecutive interior?
So, consecutive interior.
Oh, that's on the same side.
Right.
So 3 and 6?
Yes. Corresponding, remember, is same position. So in this picture, 1 and 3 are corresponding. 2 and 4. 8 and 6. And then 7 and 5. Alternate exterior. In this picture, these angles are exterior because they're outside the two parallel lines. And they don't have to be parallel. Even if these lines aren't parallel, they're still called the same types of angles. So alternate exterior would alternate on either side of the line. 1 is on here, 5 is there. So they're alternate exterior. And then 8 and 4. Alternate interior are inside. They're inside. And they alternate sides. 3 and 7. And then 2 and 6. So, consecutive interior, the better name to call it is same side interior. They mean the same thing. It's just when we start naming what the angles are, it's easier to abbreviate. Like corresponding, you can just say like that, C-O-R-R angles, alt X, alternate exterior angles, alternate interior, alt int angles, and then consecutive interior, or it's easier just to go same side interior angles, but they mean the same thing. So consecutive interior or same side would be 7 and 6, 2 and 3. Now, if the lines are parallel, we're not going to be doing it in this section, but throughout the rest of the book it will be. Corresponding angles are congruent. Alternate exterior angles are congruent to each other. Alternate interior angles are congruent to each other. But consecutive interior are not. And you can tell that by looking at them. These two angles are not the same size. This one's acute, this one's obtuse. So remember, if they're not equal to each other, what are they? Any two angles in a picture like this, if the lines are parallel, any two are either going to equal each other, or they're going to what?
Add up to something.
Add up to what?
180.
180. So the consecutive interior are supplementary. They add up to 180. So, oh, here they got it listed. Consecutive interior, same side interior. They mean the same thing. So in this picture, they got a prism. It's a hexagonal prism. Which of the lines fit this description? What's parallel to line AG and contains C? C is it an L or CI? So, in your assignment today, some of them are like this. You just got to answer the question.
Awesome.
Perpendicular, and remember, if they ask for a line, make sure you label it as a line. Perpendicular to AG, containing B. Yep, BA or AB. Skew to AG and containing C.
CD?
CD would work. They're not parallel.
Would CV work?
CB would work because it wouldn't intersect. And now this is something that's outside the box, but you don't have to use the actual line. I could say CF. Even though there's no line drawn there, it still would represent a line. Or I could use CK, because that would never intersect, but they don't run parallel.
Oh, yeah.
So there's many different answers for that one. A plane containing C and appears to be parallel to plane AFL, American Football League. So there's the plane right there. So which one do you think looks parallel to that plane?
I don't know.
CD.
Obviously, C, D,
JL.
J. Now remember, on a plane, you only use 3 letters.
Yeah.
So C, D, I, you just use any 3 of these 4 letters. So in this one, parallel to line PQ containing S
ST.
would be ST. Perpendicular to PQ containing S, perpendicular forms a 90, so it'd be SP.
Would SQ work?
That wouldn't be perpendicular, no. Skew to PQ containing S, SU. And a plane contains S that's parallel to PQR, SUT. And they can be in any order, TUS, UTS, anything. Okay. These are just kind of common sense things. Parallel postulate, perpendicular postulate. If there's a line and a point not on the line. So, they've kind of got the picture drawn already, but this is what they're saying. If you've got some line and some point somewhere off the line, how many lines could I draw through that point that would be parallel to that one? One. And that's what they're saying. There is exactly one line through that point that'd be parallel. Common sense,
What if you
right?
just do one line?
Huh?
What if you don't put exactly?
You should say exactly, but it means the same thing. This is actually our next constructions we're gonna be doing, are these 2 things. Okay, same thing here, they're saying if you got a line and a point not on the line, how many lines could I draw through this point that's perpendicular to this line? One right there. Okay, so again, it's a postulate. Postulates are just like the common sense things. Now this is like what we went through on Friday. You notice the lines aren't parallel, but they still got 4 angles here and 4 angles here. This is the transversal. So even though they're not parallel, you can still call them corresponding alternate interior. The difference is they won't be congruent to each other. So, all the corresponding angles would be angle 1, And which one?
6.
There's angle 1.
3.
So there's angle 1. What angle corresponds to that?
3. 6.
Nope. Corresponding to same position. What angle's in the same position? 5. Of these 4 angles, this is the top left, and of these 4, this is the top left. Okay? So then it would be 2 and 6, 4 and 8, and 3 and 7. The alternate exterior, alternate exterior, yep, these are the exterior angles. These two and these two, so they alternate sides, 1 and 7, and 4 and 6. Alternate interior, 2 and 8, they're both inside and they alternate sides. And 3 and 5. Consecutive interior, which is the same as same side interior, 3 and 8. And 2 and 5. Okay? So, some of them you're going to have to name the angles, some of them you'll have the picture and you just say what type they are.
What's non-adjacent?
Non-adjacent means not next to.
Okay.
So 9 and 11,
Alternate interior.
these are alternate interior, yep, so you can just abbreviate alt int. 6 and 10, they're in the corresponding, yep. 6 is the top right, 10 is the top right. What a pain. Eight and 11, consecutive interior, or you could call it same side interior. Whichever one you want to do is fine. And then 7 and 13,
Alternate exterior.
alternate exterior, alt X.